After you've worked with GIMP a while, you'll know which tools and panels you use most frequently. There are several ways you can customize the GIMP interface to suit your workflow. Click the Dock menu to configure the selected tab. For the Layers tab, I'd like to have a larger preview. You have several options to choose from. I'll try Gigantic. That's really nice, but would limit the number of layers you could view at once. I'll switch it to Enormous. This gives a nice preview when you click and hold over the thumbnail. Tabs can display icons, text, or both. Automatic will display both text and icons until you reduce the width of the sidebar to a certain level. Then it switches to icon-only display. The View as Grid option is disabled here. But if we take a look at the Brushes tab, you have the option to view as a list or view as grid. Show Button Bar controls whether any available icons are displayed at the bottom of the dialog. You can see the icons that were displayed here are removed, and now they reappear. The Layers tab is one most people use frequently. I like to give layers a more prominent location. You can drag any dialog out of its dock so it becomes a free-floating dialog. You can add other tabs into that free-floating dialog if you'd like. If you have a large enough monitor, you might want to create another column of dialogues. Click the Layers tab and drag it between the right dock and the image window until this blue line appears. Then release the mouse button. Now I have a nice tall Layers dialog. I'll drag my Undo tab, another dialog I use a lot, up to the top right dock. I'll make it the first tab in that dock. Notice also that each dock menu has an Add Tab option. You can use that to add tabs rather than dragging and dropping if you'd like. A dialog I find handy that isn't open by default is Navigation. You'll find it at Windows, Dockable Dialogs, Navigation. I'll add this below the Layers dialog. Click the tab and drag it down. This time you'll see a blue horizontal bar down below the Layers panel. Now the navigation appears below Layers. I don't need it quite that large, so I'll find the sizer there and drag it down. The Navigation dialog gives you really convenient access to zooming and panning options. It has a zoom slider. You can drag this small window in the thumbnail to pan around in the image. There's a Fit to Window option. The one-to-one displays it at 100% zoom. And you have the zoom in and zoom out icons. Another dialog you might want to use is Colors. It allows you to quickly set a foreground and background color. I'll drag this down to the lower dock area. You can also add tabs to the dock under the toolbox if you'd like. I'll move my Brushes dialog over there. Just click the tab and drag. Drop it in this tab area. Now I have the brushes docked under the toolbox. As you can see, there are many options for setting up your GIMP workspace. The layout of your dialogues will be saved when you exit GIMP, so the next time you run the program, everything will be arranged as you last left it. Let's take a look at GIMP's Preferences dialog. If you're on a Mac, this will be found under the GIMP menu item. On Windows, it's in the Edit menu. The undo levels determines the number of entries in the undo history. A higher number of levels gives you more undo options, but also consumes more memory. The thumbnail size refers to the size of the thumbnails in the File Open dialog. I'll set this to the large size. Here I'll increase the default layer and channel preview sizes. I'll set those to enormous. Under Toolbox, you can check to show the active brush, pattern, and gradient. You can see that appear in the Toolbox area. And you can also show the active image. I don't see any real advantage to displaying the active image in the Toolbox, so I'll turn this option off. Under Tools Configuration, you can turn individual tools on or off in the Toolbox and move them up or down using the arrow key icons. So unchecking it turns that item off in the Toolbox, and you can change the position or order of the tool in the Toolbox. Notice there are several icons at the bottom of this list that by default are not displayed in the Toolbox. I use curves a lot, so I'll turn that tool on. You'll see it appear in the Toolbox here. Under Default Image, you can select a template you'd like to be used as the default when you create a new image. You can also specify a background color for the default, and you can enter a comment. These can all be overridden for each new file that you create. These would just provide the default values. Under Appearance, you can set options for the regular image window and the full screen mode separately. Under Window Management, Save Window Positions on Exit should be checked. That's how your dialog positions will be remembered. You can click to save the window positions now. If you want to revert back to the default GIMP layout, you can click the Reset Windows to Default Values, or click the Reset button on the Preferences dialog to reset all preferences to their defaults. If you like to use keyboard commands, GIMP allows you to customize those as well. Select Keyboard Shortcuts, then select any command. I'd like to change the Export As command to use the F2 key. When you click the item, you'll see it says New Accelerator. Enter the key combination you'd like to assign to that command. I'll press F2 here, and you'll see that key displayed in this column. You can change any of the commands listed here using that same technique. Then click Close to exit.